Closed captions for this episode of Life in Wilkes is brought to you by Dale Insurance Agency in Wilkesboro, an award-winning, experienced, family-owned and operated agency with service and coverage that goes above and beyond expectations. Join us on a captivating journey as we explore the charm, history, and vibrant culture of Wilkes County. Discover the hidden gems, inspiring stories, and remarkable people that make Wilkes a place worth knowing and celebrating. Join us now and experience the unique essence of Life in Wilkes.
Good morning, Dale. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Carl. I'm well. It's good to be with you.
Well, it's always good to sit and have a conversation with you. You're in a new post now. Well, I don't know. When you became mayor of Wilkesboro, was it?
This past December, so I'm 8-9 months into it, and still learning a lot and having to grow a lot and figuring out what all is entailed with being mayor.
What are you exactly? What are you going to? I was going to say, what are you going to do when you grow up? But what are you going to do when you grow up and become a mayor? I guess is you're someone who has been so involved with the community for. I'm not going to say all your life, but most of your adult life, right? Yeah.
And certainly being mayor was not on my radar. The former mayor, Mike Inscore, approached me and said that he was planning to retire, and he had been thinking about who he thought would be good in that role, and landed on me and invited me to consider it. And so I did for about 6 months, and then went to his house and sat down with him and said, Michelle and I had talked it over, and we were willing to take on that role for 4 years, and so here we are.
Right. Now, to be clear, that wasn't a role that he just said, okay, here, it's yours. You still had to go through an election.
Absolutely. That part was just being willing to go down to the Board of Elections and sign on the dotted line and say I was willing to run. So,
being mayor of a rural community has a different take to it than, say, being the mayor of Charlotte or Raleigh, doesn't it?
It does, and of course, Wilkesboro is a mayor-manager setup, and so the mayor is really more of a figurehead. We speak for the town. We speak at events, that kind of thing. Preside over the council meetings and try to work with the council to make good decisions. So it is, but as a small town mayor, most everybody. You get stopped on the street or in restaurants regularly with people saying, hey, what about this or what about that? And so for these 4 years, I know I'm not going to escape hearing people's opinions and thoughts, and that's a good thing because they elected me as their representative in that office.
The county manager was in yesterday, and we were talking, and I told him the story about when the recent storm that blew the trees down in Wilkesboro, and I don't know if you remember, I called you and said, "Are you out getting the trees up?" He said, "Well, Public Works is taking care of that." They did a great job.
Yeah, I was watching the weather on Channel 12, and of course they're reporting that something like that was coming through Wilkes, and then the phone rang, and it was our town manager Ken Nolan saying, "Hey, it just came through downtown Wilkesboro," and I said, "I'm hopping in my car. I'll be down there in a couple of minutes."
Now it's time to clean up. Crews have been out here since this morning, doing what they can to help. We've seen tree services, electric companies, landscaping, maintenance crews, and the Samaritan's Purse all out here today in Wilkesboro removing debris.
Roof damaged trees, it's a lot like back on the hill here. It seems like it just came through right here.
The people's houses, the trees that are on houses or blocking their way in the entryway, we want to make sure we get all the trees off safely, and so nothing else happens inside the house, as far as rain, wind, damage, anything happening inside.
The National Weather Service says in events like this, in a weather event like this, it's always important to report the damage that you have on your property to local authorities as well as the National Weather Service. Live in Wilkesboro, Amber Lake, WFMY News 2.
And yeah, it was really encouraging for me to roll in at Wilkesboro Cleaners, and from there on was blocked off. But to already see all the crews already out working, figuring out how to route people around the areas that had received damage, and just public safety as the forefront focus. And so it was really neat to see all that happening by the time I drove down there. So
and it doesn't take you long to get there from your house, right?
No. I mean, it was from the time I got the call till I was there was probably 5 minutes.
Okay, all right. So that's pretty quick, and you're just grateful for the fact that you didn't have to get a chainsaw out.
Absolutely. And probably everybody else is grateful that I wasn't running the chainsaw.
In the interest of public safety, Mayor Isom will not be operating the chainsaw.
Absolutely.
Well, that's great. So, you'd never imagine you would be in that position, but you're uniquely qualified, not because of great political things you've done in the past, but because of your family and community, just knowing just about everybody in the community from a business standpoint, right?
Yeah.
How did that happen over the years?
Well, while I was in college at North Carolina State, I'm an engineer at heart and practiced engineering for years. My summer jobs were with the city of Clinton, North Carolina, and so I worked in public works there. And then my first job out of college was with the city of Charleston in their engineering department, and rose to become the city engineer director of public service there in Charleston. Okay. And Charleston was a strong mayor run city, and so I answered directly to the mayor and got a taste of
what that was like.
What that was like. Right. And of course with Charleston, the big issue was always flooding, and so when I was in the engineering department there, our focus was on doing a citywide flood study analysis and looking at improvements, and many of those are now in place after 40 years. Right. But downtown Charleston still floods. It's just a low area. But I had to go out and present that flood study in all the districts. The council members there represented districts, and so as opposed to a citywide election, they were district elections, and so I had to go to each district and present that study. And so I got that experience of speaking to the community and getting their feedback early on. So I've been involved with towns and cities for a long time. So you actually have had some mayor training, or at least understanding what happens in the city and how it operates. Absolutely. And for the 30 years that I practiced engineering privately, the projects that I did were obviously in cities and towns. Really, we practiced in about 25 states. And so from Pennsylvania to Texas, I was designing projects and having to go to town council meetings and make presentations and that sort of thing, and deal with all the different departments in the cities. So yeah, I've had a lot of experience on the other side of the desk. Right. Did that help? Do you think that experience, 25 years of working with towns and cities and understanding and being part of helping them make decisions on how they're moving forward to make their city and towns better, do you feel that put you in a stronger position of serving as mayor now? Oh, certainly. Okay. Certainly. I'm just understanding planning and zoning and public works and water and sewer and all those different things I've dealt with since I was 23 years old. Okay, so I would imagine then things are more practical to you when you look at something and everybody wants this to happen next year, but from an engineering standpoint and planning, say, oh, that's a 10-year project. That's right. That's right. Yeah, and like yesterday, I was asked we're getting ready to pour new curb and gutter at the ABC store in Wilkesboro, and because of my background, Ken called and said, "Hey, run by there and just make sure the layout is good and before they pour the concrete." And so, I think the town got a mayor, but they also got a city engineer kind of at the same time, and so I'm always happy to do that sort of thing. And also, we're in a 4-year, well, at least 4 year while I'm mayor, and it'll go beyond that. But the North Carolina Department of Transportation is doing multiple projects inside the town of Wilkesboro limits, and so we're meeting regularly with the division engineer and the district engineer and reviewing plans and looking at how roads are going to be closed and traffic rerouted and things like that. And I think probably the fact that I've got 40 years of experience in that helps me understand what's happening with the DOT. I actually did an internship with NCDOT while I was in college, and my dad spent 30 years as an engineer with the Department of Transportation. So that's what brought us to Wilkes, actually, was he came here to be the district engineer.
That's why you're mayor now, right?
Well, that's right. If
your dad hadn't came here, you would be somewhere else, right?
That's right. That's right.
You'd be the mayor of North Charleston.
It is interesting to think about all the factors that come together to get you where you are, whether that's me or you or anyone else. All those things that happen in our backgrounds. But I moved here in 1974. Went to West Wilkes and graduated in 1977. Fell in love with my sweet wife Michelle while I was a student at West Wilkes. And
so how did you first see her?
It was I was playing football and she was a cheerleader, and it was after a game, and it was on the activity bus.
Okay.
So
all right, that's right out of a Hallmark movie, right? Oh, that's great. Did Michelle's background uniquely equipped her to be the First Lady of Wilkesboro?
Probably more so than my background to become mayor. Her family has multi-generational Wilkes County folks, and so she grew up here, went to school here from all the way through. She knows most everybody. I always lean on her. I'll lean over and say, "I recognize them, but what's their name?" And so she's always there to tell me who's who. So
we were thinking the other day about when we first met, and when you came in, we were going back in time, and we met at a coffee shop at Talia's. Long time ago. I don't even remember. You remember the year?
Well, it would have been 10 years ago. That was when we took up doing music in the community, and that started at Talia Espresso with the Kruger brothers, and that was 10 years ago. It's hard to think that we'd worked with music for that length of time. But
we were doing shows for Life in the Carolinas in Wilkes then, and I'd come up and visit, and I remember a conversation. We sat down. I don't remember which conversation, if it was when we first met. I don't think it was when we first met, but a few times after that. I think we sat down there at maybe on the outside patio and just talked about your goal and Michelle's goal of helping to promote music and the culture of music within Wilkes County. Oh boy, that worked. Right, look at it now.
And I don't know, we're glad to be a part of that. I don't think we made it happen. I think all the recipe was already here. I mean, the number of musicians and talented folks in this region is just phenomenal. I mean,
but it did start there, though, right? I mean, they're the Carolina Fall product, and they were doing events in North Wilkesboro, opening up their facility to do all types of music events, right?
That's right.
And so things launched from there. And at that time, if we look in the county, there was Merle Fest was going on, and you were revitalizing or taking Carolina in the Fall to the next level, right? But there wasn't a pavilion built out in Wilkesboro at that time.
That's right. Yeah, our goal really was to see stages built, to see places become available, and honestly, I mean, I guess I could sit down and count the number of stages that have come to Wilkes County in the last 10 years. It's a lot, and so from that perspective, I'm thankful, I'm excited, I'm hopeful, that with all the stages and the opportunities for our local artists to have a place to play and the public to gather, that good things will come from that. We also worked with Mr. Skipper. I know you know Larry, and to start a program in the schools to start our young kids picking up an instrument, and so that's been a rousing success. Watching the videos from Galax a few weeks ago, and to see all those Wilkes County kids that have come through that 12-note map program playing on that stage in Galax, I was like, yes, that is amazing. So
that's a good thing. I mean, it's a time, the area has so much music heritage, but it seems like as we look at, I had Linda Cheek and I were talking, and she's 25 years in service as the chamber president, 26, she says, in November. She's retiring this year. She says she hopes to get a replacement in place. But in that conversation, we talked about when she started and how the county was shifting then. NAFTA came about and the furniture factory, all these things are happening. And that was a big deal, right? That was a huge, life-changing event. Big deal is an understatement, I suppose. But that was life-changing. And the area had to, as many areas in the South, around the country, had to figure out, okay, what are we going to do now? And that's coming to life now. And music and the outdoor economy, that's a big part of that, isn't it?
It is, and I've worked with, served on the board of the Wilkes EDC for years, and was chairman until I became mayor and had to step down. But as you say, Wilkes has gone through multiple times of transition. When the furniture and textiles left, I don't know how many people were left without jobs, but it was a large number. Right. And then fast forward to Lowe's making the decision to relocate to Mooresville, and again, the impact on the community from that. I just think Wilkes County folks are hardy and pick up the pieces and move forward. And so with the chamber and the EDC and groups that are really focused on helping move the county forward, I think we have a bright future ahead. It's going to take a lot of work. We still have a long way to go. But that
journey started, though, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. We've been fortunate enough to receive a couple of large grants from Golden Leaf folks, and the EDC was able to build a new facility out 268 East, and it pretty much immediately filled up with new companies, and so working on the second one now. Just got another $1.5 million grant from Golden Leaf to do grading, and this time the site will accommodate up to 150,000 square feet.
How big is the one now?
The one now is 32,000 square feet. So this could potentially be 5 times the size, and offer opportunities to bring in much larger companies. So, it just little by little, I see good things happening, and I believe that it's stepping up every time.
Right.
So I think there's real opportunity.
Wilkesboro and North Wilkesboro are friendlier now toward each other in moving forward than, say, 30 years ago.
Yeah,
that's what I hear people say.
There's no question that's true, and I don't know the history, and frankly, I tell the folks in Wilkesboro and I tell the folks in North Wilkesboro, I don't really want to know the history. Why bring that up? Sure. And instead, let's focus on the future. Let's reach our hands across the river and work together to do good things for our citizens. That's 100% of my goal. And so we do have a monthly meeting between the two mayors, the chairman of the county commissioners, and then the two town managers and the county manager. And the purpose of that meeting, it's multi-purpose. First is just to build strong relationships. But secondly, we spend a lot of time talking about projects that impact all of us, ways we can work together. The idea of lowering cost of services, but increasing the quality of services is really the goal that we all have, the county and both towns. And so we're working hard to build on that.
Right. I would imagine, Dale, that the people who visit Wilkes County as tourists or moving here for the first time, I don't think they see any lines at all.
Yeah, Carl, nobody.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody knows whether they're driving in North Wilkesboro or Wilkesboro. They just know they're here in Wilkes County, and so the new river district that's being studied and planned will flow from Wilkesboro into North Wilkesboro, and will all be one river district. Right. You won't know the difference. Graphics will all be the same. We'll try to coordinate the architecture. It'll all flow together.
The river is no respecter of boundaries, is it?
No. Years ago I always heard, the river divides us, and now I'm hearing, the river unites us, and I like that much better.
Sure.
The river runs through us.
It's a perspective, isn't it?
That's right.
How you choose to look at it.
And North Wilkesboro, they have a wonderful mayor, Mayor Hauser. I just think the world of him, and their town manager Holly Minton is just fantastic. And so, anytime I can work with them, I want to do it. We're got several projects we're working on together. The water intake is probably the largest project, where we'll have one building, and both towns have their raw water intake in that building in one location. So, and we'll have the ability, if one town's intake needs service, they can draw water from the other town's intake. Right. And then we're working on having, on the potable side, once the water's been treated, having good connectivity of our system, so that if Wilkesboro has a need for water, we can just call up and say, hey, we need to draw some water off you guys. And right. So the more we're able to do that, again, it's about service to the citizens of both towns. How can we do a better job for them? How can we lower the cost?
Well, that would be my thought, is having one facility. Maybe it's a grander facility than the two individual ones, but then staying on top of technology and just controlling that, you split the cost of the lead person. You just spread the cost out, but the benefits are better for everybody. Is that the idea?
Yeah, that's the idea for sure. And of course, a raw water intake impacts lots of things. The watershed, what you can and can't do above where you take the water out impacts how the land develops. And so consolidating that only impacts one area. And so it's a real benefit.
Well, here's the difference that I see in you since you've taken office. Before, we always talked about music and food and beliefs. And now we're talking about water and sewer as well, because that's what you've got to focus on, right?
Yeah.
Making sure that that's there. And the reason you talk about that and you work toward the initiatives, that the town administration is doing that, is so that I guess your job as mayor is to be the big advocate, and you talk to people when they're looking at moving to the area or coming here. Do you enjoy that role?
I do love that role. We do have challenges across the board, whether we're talking about Wilkes County or the two towns. We have a huge housing shortage, and that's nationwide, but it is very severe here in Wilkes. I mean, there's been times where our realtor representative to the EDC board would tell us, there's 12 houses on the market this month. I mean, that's...
How many should there be? Do we know those numbers?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see 100 or more houses on the market at a time.
So does that set the message for developers and others who want to step into that arena and invest in properties? Is that the message? Hey, we have a need. We have a great community to build in because of all these, the outdoor assets and the community assets. So in your pitching to developers or whomever those investors are about housing, how is that process easier now because you know what the county assets are?
It is. 5 years ago we had a housing study performed for the community, and it showed that there was a need of I may get these numbers a little bit wrong. I believe it was 1,000 rental units and 1,500 private-owned units, and so 2,500 units were needed 5 years ago. We're in the midst of updating that study, and potentially, maybe even more housing needed now. Mm-hmm. And of course, that study is available on the Wilkes EDC website. And so, as I make this pitch to developers, go to the EDC website, download that housing study, and take a look at that.
How are those meetings going now? How are the conversations with people who are looking at the county and an area to invest in? Because we talk about our problems, but the thing that I'm seeing as I'm talking to so many different leaders within the community is that all the little issues are not being swept under the rug, if you will. They're being talked about and actions being taken on moving forward in a good way, right? So are you optimistic on the housing side?
I am, but I'm also realistic on that. Right now, finding builders, finding people to drive the nails and put in the plumbing and the HVAC, that's extremely hard in Wilkes County. The folks that we have in those trades can drive 30 minutes up the mountain and make twice the money.
I see.
So it's extremely difficult, and we're trying to figure out whether it's through modular homes, because the factory doesn't know whether the house is coming to Wilkesboro or whether the house is going to Wilmington. They don't care. They're building the home inside a big warehouse. That's a real potential we're looking at. But we've got to find a way to meet the need with the limited resources that are available in Wilkes. And certainly, I'm not asking that a plumber stay home and work and make half what he can make driving 30 minutes. I mean, we're driven by profit, and that's just part of capitalism. And so, while I would love for them to stay here,
right,
I also understand. So what I'm saying, too, is for young people, 10th, 11th, 12th grade right now, the opportunities to make great money in Wilkes County, stay home, is through the trades. Go over to the community college, learn plumbing, learn electrical, learn mechanical, learn welding, learn framing, do all the trades like that, and you can stay right here and stay just as busy as you want to stay. Right. So I hope, and the community college is doing a great job expanding those programs.
Well, Dale, that's pretty exciting. So, and you said you're serving for 4 years, and then you and Michelle are going to not do that because Michelle says that there are other things that you need to be doing, right? You think there's a little leeway there? Or
No.
She's great.
No, we're going to do all we can for 4 years to help Wilkesboro move forward and put in place maybe programs that can continue and help the community. But no, we've recently bought an old dilapidated farm up 16, about 74 acres, and we see the remainder of our life, Lord willing, being caring for that farm and bringing it back to life. And
that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
We'll have to come up and have a on a non-work day. Huh?
Yeah, come up and sit on the porch we're going to build, and
that'd be great.
We'll rock and talk.
Yeah, that's great. You're on the water.
We have 1,500 feet of the Reddies, so we've got a nice river, and the plans are to build a nice catfish and bass pond as well.
Oh, that's great. Build a salmon pond too. I understand that may not work, but in any event. Well, Mayor, it certainly has been great chatting with you. We'll obviously have another visit. Maybe we'll do that around Christmas time. I happen to know that you and the First Lady love the holidays.
We do. And actually, we had our first Christmas in the Commons meeting yesterday afternoon to get busy planning. We're shaking that up too. New mayor, new ideas on how to do that. So Wilkesboro will have Christmas this year. Oh yes, in the Commons. In the Commons, and with some new ideas to maybe change the event, hopefully improve it, but we're looking forward to it.
Put a few icicles on it.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Have a good day.
All right, thank you, Carl.
Thank you for spending time with us on Life in Wilkes. We value you as a viewer and appreciate when you share the show with your friends and family. Be sure to bookmark our channel and join us again on the next episode of Life in Wilkes.